I am grateful for the opportunity to introduce our next company, Sense Diagnostics. Sense Diagnostics is a good example of how the UC Accelerator and HCDC can plant the seed and grow a business. As many of you know, in order for a startup to succeed, they must have a great product that solves a real problem, and they also must have a great team. Sense Diagnostics has this, but also a great degree of passion. Dan Kincaid, the CEO of Sense Diagnostics, once told me that the driving force behind his company is not the money as much as the opportunity to save lives and make the lives of those that have brain injuries better. I'd like to introduce to you Dan Kincaid.
Thanks, sir. Thanks, Dennis. Okay, so we're on. First of all, those of you who know me know I tend to geek out on things and go on and on. So I will speak at maximum speed and maintain total focus so that my 7-minute presentation is somewhere under 10 minutes. So Sense Diagnostics. We're a startup stage medical device company building a monitoring system for brain injuries. When you're talking about brain injuries, time is the ball game. Time is everything. The sooner you can find a bleed and act on that, the less chance that person's going to die, the less chance they're going to end up being totally disabled, and the less money you're going to spend treating them, not only in that hospital setting, but post-admission through rehab and over the course of their life. What we're developing is a rapid detection system for brain bleeds. Our first target market is in the neuro ICU or the ICU, looking for strokes and traumatic brain injuries. Kind of the Captain Obvious statement of the day, but a bleeding brain is a serious issue for patients, for their families, and for the medical system. If you're talking about a traumatic brain injury, say one caused by a car wreck, there's a 1 in 3 chance that that person's going to be dead or seriously disabled. For hemorrhages, say from strokes or aneurysms, the statistics are even worse. About 10% to 15% of those people have an adequate recovery. With the inventors of the technology, who are all practicing physicians at UC Medical Center who treat these patients on a daily basis, they're also co-founders of the company, what they discovered is there's a way to improve the way we treat these patients in the ICU. So the typical process today is that when you come to the emergency room at the hospital with a suspected brain injury, they give you a CT scan or an MRI. Now, assuming that you don't need immediate surgery, they then ship you up to the ICU where they monitor your brain for exacerbated bleeding by doing a clinical exam, which means that a nurse or physician wakes you up every couple hours, gives you a series of questions or a series of tasks to perform, and they watch your responses. The problem with this is that by the time you find additional bleeding using this method, the damage is done. The reason your responses get worse is because you're getting brain damage. That's where we come in. We're using a low-power radio antenna array to send low-power RF signals through the brain, about 1/1000th the power of a cell phone call. And we watch. As blood accumulates in that brain, you'll see a change in that signal, characteristic for blood. With that signal change, our software can give you location, the size of the bleed, and the rate of change, much earlier than what you would get by doing a clinical exam. We then display that for the physician, allowing them to intervene sooner. From a financial perspective, hospitals care a lot about this. About a third of the time when patients end up in the ICU with a brain injury, that brain injury gets worse while they're there. When that happens, the ICU stay doubles. They stay there 8 days as opposed to 4. Every extra day in the ICU costs the hospital about $3,000 to $5,000 extra. So if you average all that out across all the brain injury cases that the hospital sees, they average about $4,000 extra per case based on brain injury expansion or brain bleed expansion. Using our technology, they should be able to recoup or avoid $2,000 to $3,000 per case by monitoring these folks and intervening earlier. We're planning on selling the unit at $500 per. giving both better outcomes for patients and allowing the hospital to get 4 to 6 times their money back based on what they're spending on us. Market potential is huge. I won't go through all these. Our initial target market is the small red ball on the left, which is the ICU, stroke and traumatic brain injury market. It's $170 million a year. When you add all this up, it's $1.8 billion annually. That's only in the US and only looking at brain injuries for bleeding. There are other applications for our technology, both inside the brain, outside the brain, and also in other markets such as Europe. Where are we at? So far we have a prototype developed. We'll be doing our first in-man study this summer at University of Cincinnati. We've completed preclinical testing both in our lab model, which is the nice little electromagnetically mimicking skull there, and then in an animal model down at UC's Center for Surgical Innovations, where we proved our product in pigs. We were able to see as little as 1 ml of additional blood in the pig brain. That's key, because if that translates to humans, we will have the average human or bleed expansion in a human is about 12 mLs, so we'll see the vast majority of bleeds very early on. Our patent will actually issue sometime in April. We've got the notice of allowance from the Patent and Trademark Office. We've executed our license with the University of Cincinnati, global, worldwide exclusive rights. We've had initial conversations with the FDA. They confirmed that we are a low-risk device, which means we have a relatively simple pathway to market with our clinical studies. So I won't go through all the arrows here, but phase-wise, we're wrapping up our preclinical studies. We're in the middle of our seed round. So if you're an investor, qualified investor, I'd love to talk to you afterwards. We've got about half the money committed to that round right now. About a year from that round will cover the first in human study and the engineering we need to do to get to our pivotal trial. We'll raise a Series A round about a year from now that will take us through the FDA. We'll do a Series B round for launch about a year after that. Competition-wise, there's a couple products on the market. Both have significant limitations from a technology standpoint. Cerebrotech is a third product that's on the way. It will be a viable competitor. We do think we have some advantages versus their product, both in speed to detection and in accuracy. We spend a lot of time going out and talking to customers. Talk to clinicians from Cleveland Clinic, Harvard, Medical College of South Carolina, Vanderbilt. All of them confirmed the need for our product. We spent time talking to CFOs. 4 CFOs from 4 different medical systems confirmed that our pricing model and our value proposition is correct. And we spend a lot of time talking to nurses and getting design parameters on how our product should actually fit into the ICU workflow. All right, so I'm out of time. I will say that I will tell you more about our team. I'm blessed to be surrounded by a bunch of great people. I am a seed stage investor, have been looking for my next company for about 5 years. I've never seen a technology I've been more excited about. Thank you very much.